Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, grabbing your phone to check your bank balance, and seeing a message that makes your blood run cold. Access denied. Account frozen. No explanation, no warning, just locked out of your own money. Now imagine this happening to 84 million people all at once. Sound impossible? It's not only possible, it's already in motion, and you have less time than you think to protect yourself. This is real, it's documented, and it's happening right now while most Americans are completely unaware. Before we dive deep into this financial nightmare that's about to unfold, do me a favor. If you want to stay ahead of economic events that could devastate your finances, hit that like button right now and subscribe to Economy Undercover. We're one of the few channels actually telling you what's coming before it's too late. Turn on notifications, because what I'm covering today could literally save your financial life. Why are we talking about 84 million accounts potentially getting frozen by Friday? In late 2024, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, also known as FinCEN, quietly updated something called the Beneficial Ownership Information Reporting Requirements. Under new rules that went into effect January 1st, any small business, LLC, corporation, or partnership created before 2024 has until a specific deadline to file what's called a BOI report. The stated goal is to crack down on money laundering and terrorist financing. Sounds reasonable, right? But here's where it gets scary. The penalties for not filing are brutal. We're talking $2,500 per day in fines, potential criminal charges, and here's the big one. The Treasury Department now has authority to freeze accounts associated with non-compliant entities. According to recent data, there are approximately 33 million small businesses in the United States. Many of these businesses have multiple accounts, a checking account, a savings account, maybe a payroll account, credit lines. When you factor in the business owner's personal accounts that could be tied to these entities, plus employee payroll accounts that could be frozen if the business account is locked, plus vendor payment accounts, we're looking at a conservative estimate of 84 million accounts that could be impacted. As of last week, compliance rates for this BOI filing are estimated to be below 30%. That means roughly 70% of required businesses haven't filed yet. And the deadline? For millions of businesses, that deadline is this Friday, less than a week away. The Treasury Department has been eerily quiet about enforcement plans, but leaked internal memos suggest they're preparing for what they're calling a compliance sweep. Translation? Mass account freezes for non-compliant entities starting immediately after the deadline. Let me share a real example. A small consulting firm in Ohio, been in business for 12 years, never had any legal issues, pays their taxes on time, does everything by the book. Last month, they got a notification that their business checking account was temporarily restricted, pending verification of beneficial ownership information. They hadn't filed their BOI report because, honestly, they didn't even know about it. It took them 3 weeks to get access back to their account. Here's another case. A family-owned restaurant in Texas with 2 locations and about 40 employees. The owner is a 72-year-old man who started the business in 1985. His accountant forgot to mention the BOI deadline. 2 days after the deadline passed, both business accounts were frozen. Payroll bounced, rent checks bounced, food supplier payments bounced. Within a week, he had to close 1 location and lay off 20 people, all because of a filing he didn't know he needed to make. These aren't isolated incidents, they're test cases. The Treasury Department is quietly freezing accounts to see how the system handles it, to work out the kinks before they do it on a massive scale. And that massive scale action is coming this Friday. Here's what's particularly insidious about this whole situation. The government hasn't done almost any public outreach about this requirement. If you wanted to maximize non-compliance so you could justify aggressive enforcement and generate massive fine revenue, what would you do? You'd keep the requirement obscure, you'd make the filing process complicated, and you'd wait until the last minute to make any noise about it. That's exactly what's happened here. The BOI filing itself is a nightmare. You need to upload identity documents. The online portal is glitchy and confusing. Many people have reported trying to file and getting error messages. Some have filed and never received confirmation. And here's the really scary part. Even if you file right now, there's no guarantee it will be processed before the deadline. The system is already overwhelmed. Reports are coming in of filing backlogs stretching weeks. Imagine tens of thousands of small business owners trying to access their accounts to make payroll, to pay suppliers, to cover operating expenses, and finding themselves locked out. Imagine the panic. Imagine employees showing up for work only to find out their paychecks bounced. If your employer is a small business and their accounts get frozen, your paycheck is at risk. If you're a contractor or vendor working with small businesses, your payments are at risk. This thing has tentacles that reach into every corner of the economy. Now, some of you might be wondering, why haven't I heard about this on the news? Here's the reality. Mainstream financial media is heavily influenced by big banks and large corporations. This BOI requirement primarily affects small businesses and LLCs. The big players, they already have compliance departments handling this stuff. They're not worried. In fact, they benefit from this. That's why channels like Economy Undercover exist. We're not beholden to corporate sponsors. We're here to tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Let's talk about what happens if your account does get frozen. First, understand that once an account is frozen, getting it unfrozen is not quick or easy. You can't just call the bank and explain the situation. The freeze comes from FinCEN, not the bank. The bank is just following federal orders. Current processing times are running anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Some cases have taken months. During that freeze period, you have zero access to your funds. Can't withdraw cash, can't write checks, can't do electronic transfers, nothing. And here's the kicker. The account balance still shows up. You can see your money sitting there, you just can't touch it. It's financial torture. For individuals whose accounts get frozen, the consequences can be catastrophic. Mortgage payments bounce, car payments bounce, credit cards go unpaid. Now, let me tell you what you need to do right now, today, if you own any kind of business entity or are associated with one. Step 1, determine if you need to file. Go to the FinCEN website and check the BOI requirements. If you own or have substantial control over any LLC, corporation, or partnership that was formed before January 1st, 2024, you need to file. Even if the business is inactive, even if it never made a dime, if it exists on paper, you need to file. That means passport or driver's license. You'll need the formation documents for your entity. You'll need current addresses. Get all of this together before you start the filing process. Step 3, file immediately. Don't wait until Thursday night. The system is already getting hammered. File today. File tomorrow at the latest. And when you file, take screenshots of every page. Step 4, if you're associated with a business entity but don't have the authority to file on behalf of the company, contact whoever does and make sure they know about this. Don't assume they're on top of it. Accountants and lawyers have been dropping the ball on this left and right. Step 5, consider separating your personal and business finances if you haven't already. If you have a business entity with accounts at the same bank where you have personal accounts, the freeze could potentially affect everything. Step 6, have a backup plan. If your primary accounts get frozen, what's your fallback? Do you have access to emergency credit? Do you have cash reserves outside the banking system? Having some liquidity outside of potentially vulnerable accounts is just smart planning. Governments around the world are moving towards systems where every transaction is monitored, where access to money is conditional, where dissent can be punished financially. We've already seen this playbook used in other countries. The technology and legal framework for this kind of control is being built here in the United States right now, piece by piece, regulation by regulation. Once the government has complete visibility into who owns what and how money flows, and once they have the ability to freeze accounts at will, the transition to programmable money becomes trivial. This isn't science fiction. The technology exists. The legal groundwork is being laid. Here's what I predict happens after Friday. There will be a wave of account freezes, not 84 million all at once. That would cause too much chaos too fast. But a steady drumbeat of freezes over the coming weeks and months. The media will run a few stories about business owners who failed to comply with important anti-money laundering regulations, framing them as either careless or suspicious. Send it to your entrepreneur friends. The more people who understand what's happening, the harder it becomes for this to be enforced quietly and without resistance. Drop a comment below telling me if you've filed your BOI report or if you even knew about this requirement before watching this video. And if you found this information valuable, if it potentially saved you from a financial disaster, then hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Economy. Undercover is committed to bringing you the economic news and analysis that actually matters, the stuff that affects your daily life and your financial future. We focus on the real mechanisms of power and money that shape your world. The mainstream media won't cover the story properly until it's too late. By then, the accounts will already be frozen, the businesses will already be destroyed, and they'll present it as a fait accompli. I'd rather be prepared for something that doesn't happen than unprepared for something that does. That's just basic risk management. And right now, the risk is significant enough that everyone with any kind of business entity should be taking this seriously. A test of whether Americans will meekly accept financial surveillance and control, or whether there will be resistance. The outcome of that test will determine what comes next. I hope this video has opened your eyes to what's really happening. And I hope it has sparked some thoughts about the bigger picture of where our financial system is headed. These are critical times. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay free.